Winston Cup teams have a need for Brickyard speed because it's Busch Pole qualifying day. The practice is over. Drivers now must climb into their cars and all alone on the 2.5-mile oval make one lap. The speed they achieve could determine whether they make the field for the 4th Brickyard 400. With Daytona 6 months away, this is the most important race on the schedule now, for one thing because of a purse exceeding $4 million. The goal today is to ascend the scoring pylon and be among the top 25. The ultimate goal is to cross this yard of bricks on Saturday and duplicate the feat of Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Gordon as winners of the PPG Cup at Indianapolis.
When you have 51 cars attempting to qualify for a 43-car starting field, there is no margin for error. You must push to the edge of the envelope and then quite possibly a little bit beyond. Yesterday, the need for speed bit a couple of serious contenders. With 10 minutes remaining in the final practice, Lake Speed, Delta Fawcett Ford, slipped in water coming into turn 4 and slammed the outside wall. Just before that incident, Mike Skinner Chevrolet hit oil in turn 3 from Bill Elliott's blown engine. The resulting contact wiped out his Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And just before noon today, rookie Ron Barfield, New Holland Ford, pancaked the wall in turn 4. Today, Lake Speed has been forced to go to a backup car, which originally was 1 second slower than yesterday. But after a little massaging, it's only 0.05 of a second slower, which means this car is still faster than the track record. Ron Barfield, only sheet metal damage on the right side of his New Holland Ford. He'll qualify with the same tires that bounced off the wall. But behind me, Mike Skinner, not quite so lucky. His backup car is a super speedway car from California that has big fenders. Aerodynamically not suited to qualify that well here at Indianapolis. New fenders will come in the morning. But more problems for Skinner. They found aluminum in the Oberg filter just moments ago, and now they're going to rapidly change an engine. So back here in the garage, the thrash for qualifying day continues.
The need for speed today is there. You need one lap to be very, very fast. 2.5 hours of practice this morning, not to make your car good, to make your car perfect. Why did some guys have problems here in the first 2 days? Because the slow need to go faster, and the fast need to be the fastest. There was a feeling that maybe after two or three events here, that this would be just another race at just another track, but that's clearly not the case. Why? The prestige, the purse maybe. Today is very important because of the pole and a spot in the Busch Clash. The track record here is clearly in jeopardy, and among guys that would like to knock it down are Johnny Benson and David Green. There are two teams changing engines in the garage. The pressure for the pole is about to begin.
And so in just a moment, the cars will begin to move out onto the racetrack one at a time. Some will be trying to duplicate the feat turned in by Rick Mast 3 years ago and by Jeff Gordon the last 2 years. Others will just simply be trying to get to the top 25.
Qualifying year is so doggone important because passing is at a premium at this racetrack. Flat racetrack, only 9 degrees in the corner. And when you follow that car, you lose the air, the downforce on the front of your car becomes awfully hard to pass. So you want to start up front as far as you can, because if you don't, if you're mired back past the top 25, they'll want to change 2 tires on some of the pit stops, fuel only. You'll be skating all day long for 400 miles.
How about the qualifying order? Well, Jeff Green drew the first position. However, notice the little yellow arrow there beside the name of Mike Wallace. You will see that yellow arrow on 2 other drivers also. The Cummins 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race is scheduled for IRP tonight, Indianapolis Raceway Park. And so 3 drivers, including Rich Bickle there, will be given the opportunity to be first out here today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway so that they can qualify and race at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Cummins 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Busch Pole qualifying for Saturday's Brickyard 400. It's a beautiful day, and drivers are going to be shooting for the pole position. Now, there are several that already have 2 poles this year. Mike Skinner, Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, and Joe Nemechek. The others listed there have 1 pole position. All are eligible for the Busch Clash, which will be held at Daytona International Speedway in February.
And also, the driver that wins the most pole positions picks up a $50,000 bonus from the Busch people.
So with beautiful blue skies overhead, we are getting set to begin qualifying. And Rich Bickle, one of those who will be driving in the truck race tonight that Benny Parsons and Dave Despain and Marty Reed will be covering on ESPN2. He's qualifying here this afternoon. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Rich Bickle this morning was here to practice from 9:30 until 11 o'clock, and then he had to hustle over to Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Craftsman Truck Series, where he practiced from 11:30 to 12:30. By the way, he's the fastest truck in practice. He came back here for qualifying, which we're getting ready to have in a moment here at 1:30. By 2 o'clock, he's supposed to be in a police car, headed back to IRP for practice from 2 to 2:30. He qualifies at 4:30 and will race tonight, which you will see on ESPN at 8:30 p.m. So a busy day for Bickle.
And that race tonight will be on ESPN2.
Rich Bickle did not qualify for last year's race. He started 36th and finished 37th 2 years ago. And in the first race, he started 19th and finished 29th.
And this morning's practice was the 4th fastest car, so we might see just what kind of speed we're going to have to come up with to qualify for the Brickyard 400.
He ran 177.452, and they're shooting for the record of 176.419 set by Jeff Gordon last year. There have been a total of 18 drivers exceed the speed achieved by Gordon last year in qualifying. So it should be a record-breaking day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in terms of the NASCAR Winston Cup cars.
And that is Darrell Waltrip's car. The 26 car belongs to Darrell Waltrip. The KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the sponsor here this weekend. Let's see, Rich Bickle, 51.111 seconds, average speed 176.087 miles per hour.
So he's considerably slower than his practice time, but he has qualified now, and Bobby Hamilton will be the next to go onto the racetrack as Rich Bickle comes in.
Bickle lost about 0.4 of a second from this morning's practice speed. This morning had run 177.5. And there we see Jeff Green, Cartoon Network car. He was the 6th fastest car in practice this morning.
And again, he's being allowed to qualify in, or out of order, I should say, because he has to get out the racetrack. Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on, man. Pay attention.
The Cartoon Network car. This is the driver that was supposed to be the first out.
Exactly. Now you're cooking.
Now I'm going.
And there we see the speeds of Jeff Green versus our pole sitter of Rich Bickle.
The speeds that the yellow arrows are pointing to are the speeds achieved by the pole sitter. Since we only had one qualifier, he is the pole sitter at the moment. And then coming up on the screen are the speeds achieved by the car on the racetrack. Jeff Green, of course, has never raced here at Indianapolis. Moves through the north end of the raceway up there in turn number 4 and comes out on the main straightaway.
Completing this qualifying run. Checkered flag is out. Jeff Green. You know, since we've done a race, Billy Engel was the team manager.
Right.
Racing manager for Diamond Ridge is gone now. Wes Ward has taken over that position. Remember, he was Jeff Green's crew chief on the NASCAR Busch Series car. He is now team manager for Diamond Ridge.
Well, Jeff is going to be very disappointed after a 177.043 this morning. He runs a 173.779. What in the world would account for that much loss of speed?
Well, it's hotter, it is warmer, but this is qualifying. Practice and qualifying is 2 entire different things.
The pressure is on, and Bobby Hamilton is the next to feel that pressure as he takes the STP Pontiac onto the racetrack. And Bill Weber is with Jeff Burton.
And he's standing here next to his Exide Ford. You were quick in the top 10 here, but the speed seemed to be down a little bit among the guys going early, Jeff.
Well, I don't know if it's the racetrack as far as going early or if it's just that we haven't run on the track for a little while when it's hot. I suspect that everybody's gotten a little bit loose right now, and just nobody's been running on the racetrack, and makes a little bit slower.
You come in here on a pretty good roll.
Yeah, we do. Qualifying is real important here. As you can see, everybody wants to be down here. It's pretty important where you start, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make a good qualifying lap. We put more effort into this qualifying career we have all year long. So hope we'll have a good result from it.
Good luck.
Thanks.
That's Jeff Burton, his Exide Ford, 7th fastest in the morning practice session. To Jerry Punch with Rich Bickle.
All right, Rich, the first car out, 176.087, 51.111, about 4/10 slower than what you run about an hour and a half ago.
Well, I think it's a disadvantage going off first, but the track was slick. I pushed and I got a little bit loose off of 2, and I was hanging on. But I'll tell you what, to come here and to run as good as we have for the first time this season, I got to thank Darrell Waltrip and the whole team for giving me this opportunity. The Kentucky Fried Chicken people, they come on board, and we were 4th quickest in practice this morning. But I'll tell you, if we make the top 25, I'll be tickled to death because this is very hard to do.
All right, go hustle out to IRP and get one tonight.
Yeah, we just went over there and practiced. We ran fast in practice, so now I go back over there and practice again and qualify tonight.
All right, Rich Bickle, thus far the quickest car in qualifying.
Bobby Hamilton is also slower than the morning practice, 177.781 in practice. In qualifying, 176.053. So currently he is in 2nd position as Bickle has the pole at the moment. Next to go out onto the racetrack will be Ken Schrader, whose best start here in the Brickyard 400 was last year when he started in 4th position and finished 16th.
He was the 8th fastest car in practice this morning. Was the Skoll Chevrolet. Was very good yesterday as well.
Ran 176.967 in practice this morning, and Jerry Punch is with Jeff Green.
Well, Jeff Green has climbed out of the Cartoon Network Chevrolet. Jeff, this morning you were one of the 17 cars better than the track record, but 173.379, quite a bit slower.
Bad, wasn't it? It about spun out going to the green, and I about spun out every corner. It was just a lot looser. I don't know if that set of tires just didn't agree with the track at this time or what, but pretty disappointed right now. We had a great run, had a top 10 car, I thought, going into this deal, so now we're going to have to go again probably.
Obviously a disappointed rookie driver. Bill?
Well, Sterling Marlin was one of the top 15 in practice here this morning. He sits in the Kodak Film Chevy ready to roll out. How about your chances here, Sterling? The speed's down here among the guys running forward.
Well, it may be a little hotter than what we run this morning. Usually everybody's going to slow down, so maybe everybody's in the same boat. But I told them I'd take a 50-90 and run in practice and not even go out here. But we'll see what we got. Maybe we wind up in the top 5. We got a little bit left. We hope so, and hope it works.
That's Sterling Marlin. He's 3 cars away from going out.
Ken Schrader takes the checkered flag and completes his 1-lap qualifying effort here at the Brickyard. He becomes our 4th qualifier, and he becomes the temporary pole sitter. The lap of 176.170, but still we do not have a new track record as Jeff Gordon holds on to it. A lot of qualifying to go, however. Back with more of it in a moment. ESPN's coverage of Busch pole qualifying here on Speed World for the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, being brought to you by Miller Lite. Reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By the more than 1,625 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop and go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. Jeff Burton has just become our 5th qualifier, and he has the slowest speed so far at a 170.
That's Jeff Purvis.
Oh, okay.
Come on,
172.735.
I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
Now on the racetrack.
Let me see. Don't say anything. Wait till we see it. It's Jeff Burton, I'll bet. There we go.
How about that? You're absolutely right. Jeff Burton. His best start in a Brickyard, 18th 2 years ago. His best finish was 11th last year. And here's Dr. Punch again.
Bobby Hamilton's STP Pontiac. Bobby 51.121 seconds, a little bit slower, but everyone is slowing down.
It seems to be. It's not a big surprise. You know, the track stayed, everybody stayed off it for an hour or so, and it starts slowing down. Like 2 or 3 o'clock, it'll start slowing down a lot. But, you know, that's good enough time to get us in the top 25, I think, and get the thing ready to race. That's the main thing.
All right, Bobby Hamilton comfortably in the top 25 with the STP colors.
And Jeff Burton is about to complete his run, coming off of corner number 4.
This morning running 50.83, 177 miles per hour. If he can duplicate that, he will be on the pole. Let's see, what did he do?
And with a new track record.
Jeff Burton. 51.467, average speed 177 174.869. He'll also be disappointed.
He sure did. Here's Bill Weber.
Standing alongside Mike Wallace, his Pontiac being pushed into the line. The second car now waiting to go. Mike, a new ride for you, a new week. You're one of the guys looking for a little more speed.
Well, definitely we are. The R&L Carriers Pontiac isn't quite up to speed, or I'm not up to speed. I'm not sure which one it is, but we're going to work awful hard, hopefully get a good qualifying lap here. I'd like to thank Richard Jackson and his whole family for giving me the opportunity to run here at the Brickyard. And we'll run here, and then we'll go over and run the Pure Later Pier 1 truck at IRP tonight.
Mike Wallace ready to qualify. Jerry.
Kenny Schrader thus far on the pole, 51.087. Kenny, good lap for you.
Yeah, Little Skull Chevrolet was running good, but I'm thinking 12th, Jerry. I mean, we were 8th in practice, 12th to 15th. We slowed up a little bit too much, I think. Didn't get a lap you were comfortable with.
The car a little loose in qualifying?
A little bit, but I missed the line a little bit in 2. We lost a lot of time in 2, and then just didn't get it together.
All right, Kenny Schrader's car. Jesse James trying to steal a pole here, but his prediction is he'll end up 12th to 15th.
Sterling Marlin on the racetrack, about to enter the backstretch on his qualifying attempt. Sterling started in 3rd position in the 2nd row here 2 years ago. His best finish was also that year when he finished 7th. Down that long 5/8 of a mile straightaway into turn number 3. And you can see on the scoring pylon the 6 qualifiers that we have had so far, led by Kenny Schrader.
Sterling Marlin looks like he's had a pretty good lap so far. He's getting down right on the white line. He might have missed that corner just a little bit as he came off turn 4 down for the checkered flag. Kodak Film Chevrolet.
Ran 176.620 in the practice this morning. Let's see what he does for his official qualifying effort.
51.143, 175.977, and you'll see that sticks him in the 4th spot.
He moves between Bobby Hamilton and Jeff Burton. So at the moment, Sterling Marlin, 4th fastest of the 7 qualifiers that we have had. Next to go out is Mark Martin, who started from the front row last year here at Indianapolis, started in 2nd position and ended up 4th. And Jerry Punch is with his teammate Jeff Burton, who's already qualified.
And Jeff, you get out of the car and shake your head and take your hand and wipe your forehead. That was a wild lap.
Yeah, it was. It's a real shame. We've been real good all day, and we just didn't guess right for the weather. We had a conversation about it. Just didn't make the right changes.
What happened to the car? Did the car just get really, really loose?
Yeah, we were just. I just had to hang on. I tried to run hard. And, probably would have been better to try to run easy, but I ran like I've been trying to run all day, and like I had run all day, and just couldn't do it.
All right, Jeff Burton turns in a 51.467 right now, which puts him in 5th overall.
And Rick Mast is buckling into the Remington Ford. Won the first pole here at the Brickyard 400. How about for the 4th Brickyard 400? Rick, can you get yourself a pole here?
The guys going slow enough, it looks like. Maybe we will. You know, we did a lot of work with the race setup here. We didn't concentrate much on qualifying. This morning we did a little bit. Ran pretty good. We felt like we're pretty good. Never did a full bonsai run. I don't really know what we've got. We feel like we know what we've got for Saturday, but not right now. But the track's, it's gotten a little hotter. This track changes tremendously with the weather. You know, we figured that out the first year. It's a little bit slower, so, you know, if I do good, I'll be good.
Okay, and Jerry will be waiting for him when he comes in. Mark Martin takes the checkered flag.
And Mark Martin was 17th fastest this morning in practice at 176.4. How'd he do, BP?
51.453, average speed of 174.917. Currently 5th spot.
So we'll take a break here and be back with more bush pole qualifying at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. Ken Schrader's on the provisional pole. Mike Wallace is on the racetrack, just completing his run off of corner number 4. Mike's best speed so far in the practice, 173.100. He crosses the line, and in just a moment we'll see what his qualifying effort turned out to be.
You see, this is a car that was had been driven by Jerry Nadeau for the last 5 races. Mike Wallace, 52.246, average speed 172.262, and that, as you can see, is 9th.
He is the slowest of the 9 qualifiers that we have had so far. Up Up next, scheduled to be Rick Mast, who 3 years ago here at the Brickyard was the pole sitter and led them to the green. In fact, led the first lap of competitive stock car racing here in Indianapolis. Let's see how Rick has been doing in the practice this morning. He ran a 51.066, a 176.243, the 19th fastest of the session.
Right now, that would be good enough for pole position if he could just duplicate what he did this morning.
Jerry is standing by with Sterling Marlin.
Sterling 51.143. Unlike others, you didn't slow down that much.
Well, must have hit a pretty good lap, but we had a little bit left this morning. The guys really hadn't teamed on the motor that hard, and they beat on it a little bit. And so my car got through the corners pretty good. We tightened it up a little bit, anticipating the track was going to be a little slick, and it drove pretty good, just a little bit loose. But I thought we might have run a 90 looking at the RPMs and stuff going down the track, but we give it all we had.
All right, Sterling Marlin's Kodak Chevrolet currently 4th overall.
Now, when you hear drivers say that, for instance, he said he was going to run a 90, that is related to the time. In other words, 50.90.
Exactly. The competitors, the drivers, the mechanics, they all talk in seconds. He said we ran an 80. That's a 50.80. The fans and the media translate everything over to miles per hour, and that's how we translate it. Everything we show you is miles per hour. In other words, the fastest speed 176.170, and that speed was by Kenny Schrader. Here comes Rick Mast, checkered flag, completes his qualifying run, and don't you know he's breathing a sigh of relief. I made it back.
I think the reason that the fans and the media, he falls into 5th position, 175.709, is because we can, relate to speed going down the highway. We know that we go 75 or 70 or 65 or 55 miles an hour down the highway. These guys going 175.
Bill Weber?
Standing here with Bobby Labonte, and so you're not going to bust off a 50-20? Is that what you're saying? Everything's slowed down?
I think the track slowed down enough. I was really preparing myself for it, but I think now I think I'll hold back a little bit on that. I tell you what, we haven't got down, but the 51.01 or 03 or something like that is the best we run. So it'd be nice if we can do that again, but that's even going to be hard to do, I think, right now.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby Labonte drives car number 18. They were 18th on the practice sheet this morning, Jerry.
Well, Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford, Mark, a 2-time pole sitter this year, 51.453, very close to what your teammate Jeff Burton ran.
Yeah, we're both going to be in the back, but, we hadn't had it since we've been here. We've been racing really good everywhere we go, haven't been qualifying well, so we'll just have to take that and get ready to try to win this thing.
As you watch Lake Speed pull on a racetrack, I got to ask you, with the kind of year you're having, doesn't make any difference where you start. The way you've been driving that car and the way this car's been running, it seems like things always work for the better.
Well, the car's been working really good this year, and that's all we can do. We can just, we can't qualify better than that because that's all the faster it'll go.
All right, but race day, watch out for this guy. Mark Martin will be a factor not only on Saturday, but for that Winston Cup title as well.
Here's Lake Speed, and when we went off the air yesterday with our coverage, Lake was the fastest, but a lot happened after we went off the air. He had a crash and then brought out the backup car. And as Jerry told you earlier in the show, this backup car is just a little bit slower than the car he was fastest in yesterday. He's about to complete his run this morning in this car. Lake Speed ran a 176.529, a 50.983.
Which would be fast enough if he could duplicate that speed. No, 51.614, average speed 174.371, currently in 8th spot. Tough break for Lake Speed.
Yeah, I had hopes yesterday when he was running so well that he could get his first Busch pole. He has never won a pole position in Winston Cup competition. Well, here is the pole sitter from the last 2 years, Jeff Gordon, and the winner of the Brickyard 400 in its inaugural year 3 years ago. Jeff Gordon has been running 176.942 in the practice this morning. That's 9th quickest. Remember the qualifying effort 2 years ago when he was sideways coming off turn 4 during his qualifying run?
Yes, I do.
Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Rick Mast, best qualifying effort of the year, 9th at Daytona. Currently your 5th, Rick, at 51.221. Not a bad lap.
Well, as everybody knows, I know all the drivers have been complaining the track's slicker, and it is, but, I kind of knew better than what we did. We had the car a little bit loose, you know what I mean, for qualifying. Hot as it got, it was a little bit too loose, so we'll see.
All right, that's the man who won the first pole. You're watching the man who won the 2nd and 3rd poles at the Brickyard 400.
Jeff Gordon's starting positions, third the first year and the pole position the last 2 years. There's his wife, Brooke, looking on as Jeff goes down the backstretch on his qualifying run.
Boy, they struggled yesterday. This 24, the DuPont car was, I think, 33rd in yesterday's practice runs. Ooh, boy, goes up right against the outside retaining wall. Jeff is using all the racetrack, just like he did last year when he won the pole. Here he comes for 4, down for the checkered flag.
And hometown favorite Jeff Gordon, who grew up in Pittsboro, Indiana, just west of Indianapolis, has qualified for his 4th Brickyard 400. And the time and speed report shows us that, well, a little disappointing, I would say.
51.412, average speed 175.056. Jeff Gordon currently 6th.
The pole sitter continues to be Ken Schrader. Back with more qualifying in a moment. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Brickyard 400 qualifying is continuing, Rick Wilson has just taken the checkered flag. How'd he do?
51.478, average speed 174.832. Rick Wilson currently 9th.
Bill Weber is standing by with Darrell Waltrip.
And Darrell talking over the last-minute pre-qualifying instructions with crew chief Jeff Hammond. I don't know how fast this car is, but this chrome is very bright. How fast can you hustle it around here?
Well, that's what we're just talking about. We made a couple little changes, anticipating it's going to be a little hotter, a little slicker. Jeff and I were just talking about that, and he's telling me that it's going to be okay, and I'm saying, are you sure? So we're working on each other mentally right now. We've been working mechanically all morning. Now we're working mentally, but I think we'll be okay. We'll be fair.
I think these guys that go later might have a little bit of an advantage, BP, after seeing how the cars have slowed up. They're changing air pressure and making some other adjustments down here along pit road.
You know, Jeff Gordon yesterday, Bill, was talking about when the sun starts setting and we get the shade of the front grandstand on the front straight, how the cars do get faster. Here's Ed Barrier out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Max's boy.
Those shadows aren't going to creep over the front stretch, though, until well after the session and probably after the final practice. They don't happen until about 5 o'clock or so.
So that's when all those, for the Indy 500, that's when all the cars try to qualify, right?
That's
after
right.
The sun sets behind the grandstand.
I think maybe that's how happy hour got its name, because, of course, the track closes at 6 o'clock, and that 5 to 6 period was always very busy because the shadows were over the racetrack and still are, for that matter. Here's Ed Barrier. The entry list says it's a Shoney's and Chevrolet, but I don't see any sponsorship on that.
I don't know. The decals must have got lost. Maybe they're on that Federal Express plane that crashed in Newark last night.
Okay, Ed Barrier has his best lap, 174.744, and Ed has never driven here at Indianapolis in the race, so he'll be trying to qualify for his first Brickyard 400. 13 cars have currently qualified, and he becomes our 14th.
And he's 11th, 51.760 average speed, 173.879 for Barrier. And there you see the complete rundown. All the cars that have qualified so far. You just got a glimpse of the speeds they've run. And Kenny Schrader.
Bobby Labonte is next up in the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. His best start here was 5th, and that was in the first year and also the second year he started 5th. His best finish here at the Brickyard was a 9th 2 years ago.
You know, 51 seconds around this racetrack, that's a long time to hold your breath, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He ran a 51.046 this morning, a 176.312. I'm surprised we haven't seen the record broken yet, because 18 cars had been above the record in the practice, but so far, Jeff Gordon hangs on to his one-lap track record as the green flag comes out and Bobby Labonte begins the run.
Well, the sun has sure slowed this racetrack down. There's no doubt about it. Bobby Labonte right down close to the grass. As a matter of fact, folks, if you'll notice right there, down next to the grass, remember last year how the cars got to the grass. This year, the Speedway has put some called rumble strips, some pieces of plastic there that to get there, the cars have to run over them. And they're small mini speed bumps. I don't believe many cars are going to be down there.
I think they said those things are 1.5 inches high, but they look like mountains.
And Labonte goes in turn 3. Comes off turn 4. And here he comes down to the line. completing his qualifying run. Where will he go on that pylon?
He becomes the 15th qualifier of the afternoon. And for Bobby Labonte, the time and speed report shows us that he's currently 7th.
51.416, 175.043. This, I thought that was the same speed someone else had run, but it was not. Currently 7th.
Ken Schrader hangs on to the pole position, but we're early in Busch pole qualifying here at Indianapolis. Steve Grissom in the Kodiak Chevrolet has just completed his qualifying run. And Benny.
Good one. He is 6th. There you see it. 175.415. Speed 51.307 seconds. So Steve Grissom, good run.
And the NFL preseason. Yes, it's time for football once again. It all kicks off tonight here on ESPN as the New England Patriots take on the Green Bay Packers in a rematch of Super Bowl 31. It all begins at 8 o'clock Eastern Time tonight here on ESPN. So Ken Schrader, the provisional pole sitter right now, and Rich Bickle, believe it or not, is the second fastest qualifier that we have had in the first 16. And on the racetrack right now is Darrell Waltrip. We talked to him just a few minutes ago. And Bill Weber is with Jeff Gordon.
And Jeff Gordon is back here behind his garage explaining to the crush of media people back here exactly what happened on that lap. And basically, it's obvious that it wasn't the lap he was hoping for, and we'll just dive in here in a second and get his thoughts. He's explaining it to all his hometown fans right now. And so what are you telling all these people, Jeff?
I'm trying not to go hoarse. I don't know. I've been talking a lot this week. Yeah, it just wasn't quite what we're looking for. Our worst case scenario during qualifying was whether or not it got tied off. I got tied off. So it looks like a lot of guys, tracks caught a lot of guys off guard, and it caught us off guard. We're gonna pay the price for it. I mean, that's what happens here. The guy who guesses the best for qualifying. We picked up over a second in the last practice. We're starting to get where we need to be, and we'll find out what happens after qualifying and go to work on the race setup.
And go rest your voice.
Hopefully go rest my voice.
That's Jeff Gordon, obviously disappointed, but still taking some time to explain everything down here. It's a little crowded down here, guys.
Darrell Waltrip's car is on the outside pole right now with Rich Bickle driving. Let's see, can the boss beat his?
Hey, he did it.
50.886, 176.866. We'll never hear the end of it. DW is on the pole so
and
far.
And he has also broken the track record. Darrell Waltrip snatches the pole away from Ken Schrader. We'll be back in a moment. Darrell Waltrip has just taken the pole position away from Ken Schrader and broken the track record. Listen to the crowd here at Indy.
I told you we'd never get. Oh, Stevie's getting in the act. Hey, Stevie.
We haven't seen that since he won the Daytona 500, Doc.
Darrell Waltrip having won the pole, and DW out here.
Oh, they can't wait to get to him. They've all gotten to Darrell Waltrip.
Everybody trying to get to DW down here as you watch him celebrate. Let's get over here and get a comment from DW if we can, as they tears in Stevie's eyes and DW talking here, big smiles. Darrell, DW, congratulations. What a run. A big hug from Jeff Hammond. Stevie's crying here behind you. Jeff said, I believed in you. I believed. I knew you could do it. DW, congratulations.
What a thrill. We just wanted to qualify decent. We didn't really think we'd be on the pole or anything. And we won't be. There'll be cars that'll beat that. But, man, they know we're here anyway.
You said you made some changes after the Rich Bickle run. You knew you wanted to change the car. I mean, obviously that made a huge help.
That's just another good indication why you need two cars. Rich came in, said, DW, the track was this way, made a couple of minor changes, really helped. So he's good, and we are too.
All right, DW, ready for Saturday?
Oh, I'm so pumped. This is going to be a great weekend. I can't wait. I'm just really excited.
All right, Darrell Waltrip thus far on the provisional pole. He's so high he can go duck hunting with a rake right now, right, Benny?
I'm telling you, look at that DW on the top of the pylon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jeff Bodine qualified just a moment ago. He is currently in 16th spot. Jeff's time 172.0 56.944. There you see him in 16th. Jeff Bodine, the QVC Ford. And no, there has not been an announcement from Jeff Bodine concerning his new owners. He's talking about next week.
They had a news conference scheduled and it was canceled, so it'll be next week. Well, Tim Steele has clocked in, but it's a 19th fastest speed at 171.484, a 52.483. He's the slowest of the 19 so far. Darrell was quoted as saying, these guys that I drive with all can tell you that this place is not special, but Darrell Waltrip says this is not just another race. This is Indy. Dale Jarrett is ready to qualify, and Dale, of course, is the defending champion of this event. While we wait, Bill Weber is with Lake Speed.
And I would have to assume you're disappointed with the events of the last 24 hours.
Well, there's no question about it. You know, when you had a car running as good as we were yesterday in practice, and really had never even made a full-blown qualifying attempt at that time yet either, to lose that car was really devastating to us. But you know, we got a backup car, and the guys are working hard trying to get it up to speed. It's not quite there yet, but you know, we'll keep working at it. This is a good race team, and we'll be able to come back and just try to put up a good lap tomorrow.
All right, that's Lake Speed hoping for a good lap in second round tomorrow.
Dale Jarrett on the racetrack, and he has not had all that great of starting positions.
But check this out. Darrell Waltrip went in turn 1 at 181. Dale Jarrett 190. Darrell Waltrip was 166. Dale Jarrett is 167. The same speed off turn 2. Let's see what's going to happen going in turn 3.
Mike Greenberg, thank you at ESPN News. We are live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Bush Pole qualifying for the Brickyard 400 is underway. The defending champion of the race is about to qualify, and the speeds may indicate a new pole position. Darrell Waltrip is currently on the pole. He just qualified a few minutes ago. Let's see if Jarrett can knock him off and become the pole sitter.
Dale Jarrett is first, 50.706. Average speed 177.494 miles per hour.
And Darrell Waltrip was right. He said just a few minutes ago that it wouldn't hold up his speed, and he's right, it didn't. But Darrell will have a good qualifying or a good starting position undoubtedly for race day. And the pole position now goes to Dale Jarrett. Back with more from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a moment. Greg Sachs has just qualified 15th fastest at 174.317. This time 51.630 seconds. 21 cars are now in the field. And we remind you that RPM tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time will wrap up all the activity here at the Brickyard and any other late breaking news from the world of motorsports. Later tonight on ESPN2 at Indianapolis Raceway Park, just west of the Speedway, the Cummins 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. 9:30 Eastern Time, Dave Despain, Betty Parsons, and Marty Reed with all the action. Jerry Punch.
Well, Steve Grissom, yeah, the Kodiak Chevrolet had a pretty good lap here. Currently, you sit 8th overall, 51.307 seconds. Not a bad one.
Not too bad. I tell you, the guys on the Kodiak team, you know, they've done an awesome job, prepared a great car and super motors, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, the track's changed a little bit from when we were out this morning. And, you know, they've done a great job compensating for it. Just like they've been able to done just a little bit more. But still, it's a good lap for us. And, you know, from here, we just sit here and see what happens and where we wind up.
You stood here and watched Darrell Waltrip run that lap after you, and you stood here applauding like you were a fan. I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I tell you, Darrell and I talked right before I went out, and, you know, I kind of know what the track was for me, and then him go out and run a good lap like he did, that was pretty amazing. And then, you know, Dale Jarrett's come in since and beat him. So, I mean, these guys are pretty awesome, and, you know, it's just neat to be a part of it and be here at Indianapolis.
All right, Steve Grissom standing 8th overall.
And the speed 175.671, 51.232 seconds, and Michael Waltrip is 8th.
Good lap for Michael Waltrip. We can see that 22 cars have now qualified. There's the rundown.
Michael Waltrip started 7th a couple of years ago. His best finish in a Brickyard 400 was 8th in the inaugural year. Kenny Wallace now goes on to the racetrack trying to qualify for his 3rd Brickyard 400.
Kenny Wallace has been struggling.
Yes.
I guess that's an understatement.
173.193 has been his fastest lap. That was this morning in practice, a 51.965.
There we see the complete rundown. There's the 22 cars that have qualified. The 61 car is Tim Steele. At 12 is Jeff Purvis. If you're 95 is Ed Barrier. If you follow the sport of NASCAR Winston Cup racing, you probably recognize most of the other numbers on there.
Dale Jarrett, 50.706 seconds, 177.484 miles an hour. What a lap.
It was a good lap, a good race car that I've got. We've been really pleased with it since the first lap on the racetrack last week when we were here testing. Probably not as good as I could have gotten. I know the track is slowed down and we expected that, but I got a little conservative on my line getting into turn 1, and that hurt me a little bit. And I got on the strips there a little bit, but yeah, it didn't hurt my exit any. I just probably left a little bit on the table right there. Probably just enough for Ernie and maybe another one or two to beat me.
Did you make some major changes in the car this morning, knowing it was getting warmer through the middle of the afternoon?
You know, really, we didn't change anything. My car, when I ran yesterday afternoon, ran a really fast time. I knew that was in the cool. The sun had gone down, and a couple of the turns were pretty much shaded. This morning, it just kept getting a little hotter and a little hotter, and our car was a little tight and kept loosening up. And only thing, we made a slight adjustment on air pressure right there, and that's the only thing that we've done with the car. So I'm excited about this car for the race. Whether we get the pole or not, I'm excited about the race. I think it's something we can race with and try to win 2 in a row.
There's a guy named Ned sitting back in Conover who couldn't be here. I know he had to smile when he saw you run that lap. I know that had to make you feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, I hope so. And say hi to my mom and dad and my kids that they're keeping, Natalie and Carson and Zachary, and to Jason, who better be working at the shop getting ready to race tomorrow night. But say hello to everyone back home and hope my dad gets to feeling better. He's been a little under the weather, and hopefully he's back here real soon.
All right, a year ago, Dale Jarrett won from 24th starting spot. He won't start nearly that far back here this year.
Kenny Wallace's time, you saw it, 51.761, 173.876, currently 18th.
Now the defending NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion Terry Labonte moves on to the track for his qualifying run. He started 21st 3 years ago, 15th 2 years ago, and was 9th last year.
And we talked to Dale Jarrett just a moment ago. Jerry Punch did. I forgot when Dale was on the racetrack, I forgot to tell you, one of his crew members is not here today, Brad Parrott.
Oh, yeah?
He and his wife had a baby boy last night in Charlotte.
Congratulations.
Miles Blake. So congratulations, Brad.
That is really neat. All right, Terry Labonte, we'll watch him as he heads for turn number 3.
The speed with the gold era is the speed that Dale Jarrett ran. And we can see that Labonte is a little bit off the pace. He's about 3 miles per hour going in turn 1, 4 up in the middle of the corner, a couple coming off turn 2, a couple going into turn 3. He's a little bit faster up in turn 3 and a little bit faster in the chute, and I'm sorry, a little bit slower in the short chute between 3 and 4 and slower off turn 4. And we can see the pole was 50.706. Terry Labonte's time 51.536, 174.635 miles per hour, currently 15th.
So there's where he fits in with everybody else. Terry Labonte 15th as Dale Jarrett is on the provisional pole, but about to go out soon. Ernie Irvin, who was the fastest in practice this morning.
This Jim is Lamb right here.
25 cars have now qualified. The most recent, Rusty Wallace.
51.695, 174.098. Rusty Wallace currently 18th. As you said, 25 cars have qualified. The bumping process will start with the next car.
We told you about the Patriots and the Packers tonight in an NFL game here on ESPN at 8 o'clock. Join Chris Permit Berman and Tom Jackson at 7:30 Eastern Time as they preview the game. The NFL tonight on ESPN. And then the Patriots and the Packers will go at it in NFL preseason competition. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, defending Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte's Kellogg Chevrolet just ran a 51.536 second lap. And Terry, I know you're not too happy with that.
Well, we're a little bit loose qualifying. We made some adjustments on it, but we didn't do it quite enough. And I knew when I left the pits and I was loose coming off too, I was going to be in trouble.
Good race car, the same car you ran so well with at California.
Yeah, it's a good car. I think it'll be good in the race. We just missed a little bit today.
All right, Terry Labonte likes to get better in the race. This guy right here was quick this morning. Remember what Dale Jarrett said? I may have left some on the table for my teammate, Ernie Irvan.
And Benny, it's difficult to see exactly whether or not he did get to the rumble strips, but he looked like he did in turn 1. He was equal to Jarrett.
He's faster at the start-finish line, 2 miles per hour faster. He's faster in the middle of 1 and 2, and he's 2 miles per hour, 1 mile per hour faster off turn 2. Same going in turn 3. He's a little bit faster. Go off turn 3. Same. This is the pole, folks. I predict this is the pole, Bob.
Well, there's a real prediction for you, folks. He's faster in just about every portion of the track and equal.
There's the pole speed. The time to beat 50.706. What did Ernie Irvan do? That's Dale Jarrett's time you're seeing.
He got it. And listen to the crowd again.
50.637, 177.736. You're right. Knocked his teammate Dale Jarrett back to second, and old DW back to third. And the 61 car, Tim Steele, has been bumped.
So at the top of the pylon goes the 28 number, the car belonging to Ernie Irvan, who yesterday was very emotional because of his mom not feeling well and in the hospital, but he has certainly put that aside and done what he needed to do here this afternoon. And boy, it was really, really close between Irvan and Jarrett. Look at this, the speeds through the entire 2.5-mile oval.
At the start-finish line, he's 2 mile per hour faster, Irvan, but 2 mile per hour in the south chute. 1 and off turn 2, same at the backstretch. A little bit faster going in turn 3, so he went in the corner just a little bit harder. Same across the short chute, the north chute. And he lost a little bit going in turn 4. Probably because he went in turn 3 so hard.
Probably. Well, Irvan finished second last year to his teammate, and he has always run well here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. His best start, however, in the 2 races that he has started has been 15th. But right now, Ernie Irvan is on the pole, and on the racetrack is Jimmy Spencer.
And we see Jimmy Spencer. He's slower at the start-finish line, slower in 1, 5 miles per hour slower down in the south short chute, 3 mile per hour in turns. Ooh, boy, did he almost hit the wall there, or what? And we see that Spencer is just a little bit slower than Ernie Irvan all the way around the racetrack.
Best practice lap this morning was 175.991, a 51.139. Jimmy Spencer completes the qualifying run, and he checks in
19th, 51.647, average speed 174.280.
And Ernie Irvan steps out of the car. Jerry?
Ernie 177.736 miles an hour. Your teammate Dale Jarrett said he may have left some on the table for you, and you took it.
Well, I left a lot on the table too, but you know, this is the fastest right now, but it's going to be hard to have that hold up.
How tough was it for you? We talked yesterday. I mean, it's so hard to focus on what the task at hand is here when your emotions are so far away, but you were able to do it. Somehow you put that car thus far on the pole.
Well, I mean, they gave me a great race car. This car really tested real good, and that's the one we kind of picked out, and you know, Mark and you know, Raymond and you know, Doug and all the guys in the motor shop, you know, they made it a lot easier. And you know, thing is, my mother knows that racing's in my heart and racing's in her heart. So there's nothing I can do at the hospital right now. So the best thing I can do is get the pole.
All right, we'll say a prayer for you also, Ernie, and you and your mom.
Thank you.
So his mother, Joe Irvan, back in a hospital in critical. There is his teammate, Dale Jarrett. Up to congratulate Ernie. And that is the front row thus far in qualifying. Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvan as qualifying for the pole continues for the 4th annual Brickyard 400 here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be right back.
28 cars have qualified. Here are the top 15. Ernie Irvan has the provisional pole with a new track record, 177.736, and his teammates alongside.
Darrell Waltrip, Kenny Schrader, Rich Bickle, Bobby Hamilton, Sterling Marlin, Rick Mast, Michael Waltrip, Steve Grissom rounds out the top 10. Then it's Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Sterling Marlin, and
the rest of them.
Let's go to 16th. We will see Labonte, Speed, Sack, Spencer, Rusty Wallace, Barrier, Kenny Wallace, Jeff Green, and Morgan Shepard. Qualifies 24th at 173.604. That's the car that qualified while we were away, the Jasper Engine Ford.
And now Ron Barfield will go on to the racetrack. Remember, Ron had a problem this morning coming out of turn number 4. The car into the outside wall on the right side of the car. just kind of pancaked it, as Jerry said earlier. Let's see what Ron Barfield can do, trying to make his first Brickyard 400.
And right now, Tim Steele, Mike Wallace, and Jeff Purvis have been bumped from the top 25. Jeff Bodine, has been bumped as well. Ron Barfield, 11. 51.403, 175.087. Put Barfield in 11th, and that will bump Jeff Bodine and put Morgan Shepherd on the bubble.
That's a good run for Ron Barfield. He has never competed here at the Brickyard 400, but a very, very solid qualifying effort. Ted Musgrave is next, the Family Channel Prime Star Ford.
And this is a guy, this might be a sleeper right here. Yesterday he ran about as fast as Ernie Irvin did in qualifying.
Machine is number 16.
There's Ron Barfield's car owner, Bill Elliott, the driver of the McDonald's Ford.
Ted Musgrave ran a 176.9 yesterday. This morning he wasn't quite that fast, a 176.1. But nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on him and see if how he qualifies.
Here he comes
Green
by.
flag.
Green flag. Starts the qualifying.
Ted Musgrave started 37th in the inaugural race, was 19th the next year, and last year he started 21st and ended in 21st position. 13th is his best finish here in Indianapolis. That was in 1994.
Here he comes. Close up against the wall on the short chute. Here's our map. Let's see how he's doing. I don't think he's going to sit on the pole. We can see his 8 mile per hour at the start-finish line. 7 going in turn 1. 4 in the south chute. 3 coming off turn 2. He's 2 mile per hour going in turn 3 slower.
Wow, about 9 miles an hour slower in turn 3.
3 in the middle of the corner. So, yep. Ted Musgrave will not beat Ernie Irvin. We'll see where he fits in the starting lineup.
Checkered flag waves, and we have now had 30 cars qualify for the Brickyard 400, and Ted Musgrave is 11th fastest.
51.391, 175.128, 175.128 miles per hour. Bill Weber?
With Bill Elliott, and I was going to talk to you about your car, but I want to talk about Barfield. He knocked out a pretty good lap there.
Yeah, he's been running good out here. You know, we ran some pretty good times in practice, but as far as up here testing, but we hadn't been able to duplicate it. We messed up the engine yesterday afternoon, and we had some more problems this morning and just hadn't had a lot of track time, and it's really hurt us this week. And, you know, it's pretty hot, so we're going to make a guess and see what we do here in McDonald's Ford.
Is that what you're doing, guessing on this one?
I think everybody's guessing today.
Okay, that's Bill Elliott. Now he's got to try and beat his protege, Ron Barfield, in addition to trying to knock out the pole.
So we'll await Bill Elliott's qualifying run. In the meantime, we'll take a break and be back with more live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ricky Craven has just qualified, and the news is not good.
No, 52.522, 171.357, 31st currently. Yeah, he will not be a happy camper, will Ricky?
He's the slowest qualifier that we have had so far, and Jerry is with Ron Barfield.
Well, Ronnie, 51.403 seconds, 175.087. Now, I got to ask you, that was the first lap you've been on the track since you pancaked it this morning. How did it feel?
Man, I tell you, that New Holland car today was running good. And I mean, the last time we went out, we put stickers on the car, and I come up off of turn 4, and I mean, just slapped it just as pretty doggone hard. And, you know, we got back over to the garage, just didn't have enough time to get back out there. And, in fact, it still had the 2 right side tires I hit the wall with earlier. But, you know, it hit it real hard, but just enough to break my momentum going there. But, hey, we'll take that lap. It was a good lap for us. My guys have done a heck of a job. I want to thank New Holland for coming on board with us this year. And, hey, they keep hanging with me. We're going to be all right.
All right, Ronnie Barfield may have disqualified for his first Winston Cup race.
In great fashion, I might add. Here is Kyle Petty in the Hot Wheels Pontiac. Let's take a look at the map to see how he's doing.
And we can see he's not going to be on the pole. 10 mile per hour slower in 1, 7 down in the south chute. And let's see, the pole speed by Ernie Irvin was 50.637 seconds, 177.736 miles per hour. And Kyle's time, 51.774, average speed 173.832. He did bump the 29 car of Jeff Green out of the race, but unfortunately, Kyle put himself on the bubble, 25th. There is the complete rundown of the cars that have qualified so far. That's the top 25 and cars that have been bumped. Jeff Green, Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Bodine, Jeff Purvis, and Mike Wallace, Tim Steele, and Ricky Crater.
Okay, on Saturday, we will have the NASCAR on the Grid program at noon here on ESPN as we set the stage for the Brickyard 400, which will be on ABC beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Time with Jack Arute, Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, Benny, and myself calling the action for you. That's noon at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday afternoon. Okay, next out to qualify will be Brett Bodine, who finished second here in the inaugural race. His best start was also in 1994. He started in 7th position.
And Brett Bodine has been struggling today, trying to get this close call Ford up to speed.
173.324, his best lap this morning. Bill is with Jeremy Mayfield.
Okay, Owensboro kid. I did an online column. I said you're one of the dark horses, but no speed yet, Jeremy. Making me look bad.
Making me look bad too. You know, it's not running good. We don't know what's wrong. We just we tested good here, ran good, brought the same car back. Great race car, you know, good motor and everything else. Just can't run fast right now. So, you know, maybe it's just a qualifying deal. You know, we fought that all year, and we feel like, you know, we know after we get through today, we'll be all right, but we sure like to come here and qualify better than what we're going to.
Did you struggle yesterday as well?
Hey, we've struggled since we've been here and changed everything we've had on the car. It's nowhere near like it was when we tested. It's just not driving the same, and the speed's not there. So we'll do the best we can, and hopefully we get this Kmart RC Cola Ford at least in the top 25.
Okay, we'll be watching. Good luck. And Brett Bodine has taken the checkered flag, 30th.
30th, 52.142 average speed, 172.606. So 30th of the 33 cars that have qualified so far.
And Kyle Petty remains on the bubble. As the next out to qualify will be Bill Elliott. And Elliott had a 175.709 this morning in the practice.
We saw Mike Skinner at the top of the show, folks. If you're watching, you saw Mike Skinner crash up in turn 3 yesterday. Well, Bill Elliott is the culprit who lost the engine and put the oil on the racetrack, or water, whatever that Skinner got into, caused him to go in the wall. And that's, as Bill said a moment ago to Bill Weber. Bill Elliott said to Bill Weber, that's one problem that he's had, is not enough time on the racetrack.
Elliott has never started outside the top 10 and has never finished outside the top 10 here at Indy. His best finish was 3rd in the inaugural race. His best start was 4th 2 years ago. He's off the second corner and down the backstretch.
And now we can see the map. He's just 1 mile per hour slower going in turn 1, but he's 4 in the south chute. 3 mile per hour slower coming off turn 2. The start finish line, he's 4 mile per hour slower. So I don't think he's going to be able to beat Ernie Irvin. Of course, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to beat Ernie Irvin.
194 there at the start-finish line for Elliott, but 199 for Ernie Irvin. That is hauling the mail, isn't it?
So he's probably running 205 by the time he gets down to the start-finish line. Bill Elliott will complete his qualifying run. There you see Ernie's time at 177.736. That is the pole so far. Elliott, 8:51.185, 175.833, and you can see he's currently in 8th. That will bump Kyle Petty and put Kenny Wallace on the bubble.
So we've still got quite a few cars to qualify, but right now it is Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett on the front row for the Brickyard 400. Hut Strickland has just qualified. He is 29th fastest at 173.010. So Kenny Wallace remains on the bubble as 35 cars have now clocked in.
Well, I tell you what, these guys that do not make it today, they're forced with coming back tomorrow and requalifying again. Right now, it's David Green, the Caterpillar car. He's out to push Ernie Irvin off the pole.
Yes.
I like that.
The weather forecast says that it will increase in temperature a couple of degrees every day, so it is going to be warmer tomorrow than it is today. Not good news for those who didn't make it. Jerry?
Well, Bill Elliott, 51.185 seconds, 175.833 miles an hour. Not bad at all considering how little track time you've got.
Man, we've struggled all week. You know, yesterday we had a motor mess up. We were going to do some qualifying runs, so that kind of threw all that out the window. And then this morning we had some other problems with water pump and stuff, and we never got really a chance to go out and do what we need to do. And I knew I was better, and I felt like the car's better than what I run here today, but Mike and I talked about it. We just wanted to get a good, solid lap in and try to get in a race and then kind of work on it from there. But, I think everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, but fortunately we got a good race car for this weekend. I think Donald's will run good Saturday afternoon.
Bill Elliott's streak thus far is still intact. He has never started outside the top 10. He is currently 8th in qualifying.
What was that bang? Did the car backfire, Jerry?
Yeah, Benny, it came by, and we all jumped, but I guess maybe that was the afterburner going off.
It must have been.
Look at that. 5th fastest for David Green.
51.093, 176.149. Put David Green in 5th, and he almost pushed Ernie Irvin off the pole.
That's for sure. Man, a really good run. And so Kenny Wallace is bumped out, and on the bubble is Ed Barrier. Reminder once again that at 7:30 tonight, Chris Berman and Tom Jackson will preview the game between the Patriots and the Packers. At 7:30, the game comes on itself. At 8 o'clock, it's a rematch of Super Bowl 31, and it's all live here on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time this evening. On the track is Wally Dallenbach, and a lot of people are saying this is another sleeper. He has the 10th fastest practice lap at 176.929.
I walked through the garage area just before the qualifying show started, and I heard his name mentioned twice. Wally Dallenbach, the First Union Chevrolet, Felix Sabata's car. Brad Knopfsinger. Whoa, Brad Knopfsinger, the crew chief on this car, and we can see he's slower than Ernie. Looks like Wally will not knock Ernie off the pole. They run pretty good speed to start-finish line, 196 miles per hour.
He's at the north end of the racetrack. This will be his 3rd Brickyard 400. He missed the 2nd one, finished 23rd in the inaugural race and 17th last year. And Wally Dallenbach looks at the checkered flag. As you can see, he's still a couple of miles an hour slow at the north end of the racetrack, and 1 mile an hour slow coming off corner number 4. So Wally Dallenbach will not be a pole sitter, but where will he start in the top 25? Oh, you bet.
9th, 51.170, 175.884. Good lap for Wally.
It certainly was. That's where he fits in on your scoring pylon, in 9th position between Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott. So Rusty Wallace now is on the bubble. He is the 25th fastest so far here today. Back with more right after this. ESPN Speed World coverage today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Busch Pole qualifying for Saturday's Brickyard 400 is being brought to you by Team Monte Carlo Chevy, the cars more champions trust. By Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. By Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. And by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. Jeremy Mayfield, the most recent to qualify. How'd he do, BP?
We didn't do badly. You know, he complained about no speed. Look, he's 11th so far, 51.191. Average speed, 175.812. Rusty Wallace has been bumped.
And on the bubble is Jimmy Spencer, and trying to knock him off is Ward Burton in the MB&A Pontiac. Here's Jerry Punch with David Green.
Hey, David, 51.093 seconds. By my calculations, you picked up 0.4 of a second in qualifying.
Well, I guess that's right, Jerry, but I tell you, this is about what we ran testing here. But this weekend, the guys have worked their tail off. We've changed a few motors and changed a little bit of everything, but you know, I always look at my practice times, and if I can qualify just a tick better in our practice, I'm pretty happy. So today I got a big smile on my face.
Did you hear the big boom when you shut it off? We were standing here 20 or 30 feet away. We heard it. I mean, you just shut it off and it'll backfire.
Well, yeah, this is a motor. K-Tech does their motors, and we just had a little failure earlier with the oil pump. It wasn't the engine's fault, but we missed the last 15 minutes of practice. So when I got the checkered flag, that's the first lap had been on this motor. So the temperature was up pretty good, so I killed it, and I guess I killed it at the right time to make a big bang. So I know it's a good lap. I hope that holds up. I guess it will for first day. I'm awful happy with that.
All right, David Green's big bang puts him in the top 10, actually 5th right now in qualifying, and Ward Burton comes in about, what, 22nd or so?
Yes, 51.500. Average speed 174.757. Currently 22nd. Jimmy Spencer's been bumped. Greg Sachs on the bubble.
And among those left to qualify, the 7-time champion, Dale Earnhardt.
172.
Bush pole qualifying at Indianapolis continues. Dave Marcus, the most recent to qualify. He's 37th fastest at 52.213, 172.371. And so Greg Sachs remains on the bubble. Now, we have qualified 40 cars out of 51, and we're going to have to go off the air here as far as ESPN is concerned in about 5.5 minutes. However, all you have to do is pick up the channel clicker and go to the deuce, because we'll be right back here with another hour of coverage, and of course that will include the 11 that remain to qualify. On the track, the Skittles Pontiac, driven by Derek Cope. Here's Jerry Punch with Wally Dallenbach.
Well, Wally, you were one of the sleepers. Everyone this morning pointing to you as one of the favorites possibly for the pole, but 51.170 doesn't put you up there.
Yeah, we missed it a little bit. We're real disappointed with that. That's the slowest we've run since we've been here. It just seems like we've been having a little bit rougher time on hold of the track today, and we changed a few things right before qualifying. We thought it would help it, but we lost a little bit of overall grip. But we'll worry about Saturday. We still got a really good race car. This race car we made a lot of long race runs on. We tested here, so we should be good Saturday.
Your 2 Sapco teammates got a shot at it?
I don't know. That's going to be pretty tough. The track's a lot greasier than I thought it would be, and I was watching qualifying, watching a lot of guys slide around. So if they do, they got to pull one off.
All right, we'll watch for Robbie Gordon and Joe Nemechek coming up late in the afternoon, along with Dale Earnhardt. Those will be 3 of the last 4 cars that will attempt to qualify.
And our track map shows you that Derek Cope will not be a pole sitter. As a matter of fact, he was 10 miles an hour slower there at the start-finish line than was Ernie Irvan. Those speeds that the yellow arrows point to are that of the pole sitter, Ernie Irvan.
And once again, the arrow is pointing to Ernie Irvan's speed of 177.736. That's the time to beat. Derek Cope almost made it to the top 25. Currently 26, 51, 639, 174.287 miles per hour. And there you see on the left side of the screen the entire 25 cars that have qualified and their speed from 177.736 down to the 91 car. That's the car on the bubble.
Greg Sachs on the bubble. Here's Bill Weber.
Standing next to the Pennzoil Pontiac of Johnny Benson, which is being pushed into the qualifying line. 3rd to go here. Top 25 this morning. Can he get a top 25 spot in qualifying, John?
Well, we sure hope so. The last 2 times we were out there, our practice ride, it was pretty loose, so we changed both rear springs, sway bar, wedge, track bar. We'll be in good shape.
And the engine.
And the engine. I forgot about that. God, you better bring that up. No, Ron Perry's built a great engine. We just tried 2 different ones, and we felt this one might be a little bit better than the other, so what the heck, the guy changed it, we qualified late. We'll see what happens.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
They tried 2 engines here. They put one in, tested with that, took it out, put another one in, practiced with that, then went back to the first one. That's the one he's going to qualify on.
Johnny Benson, the guy who led the most laps in yesterday, or their last year's race. Chad Little is going to probably be the last qualifier that we have on ESPN. But again, switch over to the deuce at the top of the hour, and we'll be right back here.
Different colors for Chad Little this week.
Yep.
His green and yellow is gone, and it's black and gold. The John Deere Pontiac. We'll see that he's pretty good. He's 6 miles per hour slower at the start-finish line, and 5, 4 in the middle of the South Chute, 4 coming off 2, a couple mile per hour slower going in 3, and about 5 up and going in 3. Let's see what he did. Chad Little completes his qualifying run. He will not be on the pole, but looks like he'll be in the top 25 safely.
Yes, he is. Yeah, 15th fastest for Chad Little, 51.386, 175.145. He is 15th fastest. Greg Sachs's bumped in Lake Speed goes to the pole of the bubble, I should say. Pole position held by Mr. Ernie Irvin with Dale Jarrett second quick.
There you saw the top 25 cars that qualified. 42 have qualified so far.
And just a few more to go, and we'll have all of them for you over on ESPN2. Here's the AutoZone recap as we show you the standings as of this moment. With 42 cars qualified, Darrell Waltrip with a great run, Schrader and David Green and Rich Bickle in the top 10.
That's Darrell Waltrip's other car. Second car, Bill Elliott, good run. Jeremy Mayfield and Chad Little back in 15th.
Here is 16 through 30 now, the qualifiers that we have had in this first round of Busch Pole qualifying here at Indianapolis. There's Musgrave in 16th position. Jeff Gordon, who's won the pole the last 2 years, is 18th right now.
And Mark Martin back in 20th spot. 25th is Lake Speed. That's the car that's on the bubble. We see Sachs, Cope, Spencer, Rusty Wallace, Ed Berrier. Those cars have been in bump. Kenny Wallace, Kyle Petty, Jeff Green, Morgan Shepherd, and we see the rest of the cars that qualified. Bill Weber.
Dale Earnhardt never got a chance to defend his win in the Brickyard 400 because of injuries at Talladega last year. He'd like that chance this year. He's just about to go in qualifying. His teammate, Mike Skinner's car, has been pushed out here. That's the next car that will go. Bob?
We'll watch him on the deuce in just a few moments. Tonight, RPM tonight at 7 o'clock. You can find out how everybody did in qualifying, and the Cummins 200 truck race is at Indianapolis Raceway Park at 9:30. Coming up next, the PGA Tour. The need for speed continues from the Brickyard as ESPN's coverage of Busch Pole qualifying switches to the deuce. The remainder of the 51 cars try to find enough speed to get them into Saturday's starting field for the Brickyard 400. The goal today is to ascend the scoring pylon and be among the top 25. The ultimate goal is to cross this yard of bricks first on Saturday and duplicate the feat of Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Gordon as winners of the PPG Cup at Indianapolis.
The point you want to prove in pole day qualifying is you are the fastest of the fast. Thus far, with just 8 cars left to run, it is all Team Yates. Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett sit astride row 1.
Thursday is normally moving day. Teams moving from their shops to the track. Today, it's moving in day. These teams trying to move into the top 25 so they don't have to worry about second round qualifying tomorrow. Just a handful of cars left to go.
Well, ESPN2 Motorsports proud to welcome you to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and there you see the top 15 qualifiers so far, with just a handful, as Bill Weber said, to go. Ernie Irvin is atop the chart. He's on the provisional pole with his teammate Dale Jarrett alongside. Here's 16 through 30 in the qualifying. We have had 43 cars that have qualified so far. Most recently, Ricky Rudd clocked in with the 10th fastest speed of the session.
And we see they'll only qualify 25 cars today. Right now, Terry Labonte is the man on the bubble. Lake Speed, all these cars past 26 has been bumped. Here's the remaining cars that have qualified this afternoon. And we see Ricky Craven, the Bud Chevrolet, currently 43rd fastest. He will have to pick it up tomorrow. Bill Weber.
With Dale Earnhardt, and we just spoke about how you didn't get an opportunity to defend your championship last year. You're back here, you'd like to win, and that first step is here. How will your car qualify?
Well, that's the first thing is qualifying. We hadn't started any worse than 13th there when we won that race, so we'll definitely like to get the top 5, 10, 15, somewhere along in there. Go see what we can do.
Obviously, Skinner just had a great run, Dale. Will that help you at all?
Well, 2 different race cars.
and two different drivers. He wants to get in that Goodwrench Chevy. And I'll tell you, Skinner's car was pushed out here. Mike Skinner was already in the seat. They had to do an engine change. He was supposed to go earlier, had to go later when it was hotter, in a backup car, and he had a great lap. There's plenty of excitement left out here. Jerry Punch.
All right, Ricky Rudd, 51.083. Ricky, you said you left some on the table, but that lap's good enough for a top 5 start thus far.
Yeah, we're happy with that, Jerry. You know, we were a little bit tight when we qualified, a little bit tight in practice, and, you know, we're really happy. This is a pretty intensified moment qualifying here. I was just telling those guys on the radio, I'm glad that's over with. This is more intense than the Daytona 500 qualifying.
Good racetrack for you. You came from back in the pack far a year ago to get a good top 10 finish.
Yeah, we finished 6th at the last race, but we had a struggle from the back to the front. We had some problems, some mechanical problems, and we were able to come back 6th. And this is by far the best race car I've ever had here. So hopefully this thing will run up front. This Tide Ford's been pretty fast all week.
All right, Ricky Rudd's Tide ride right now, 5th overall in qualifying.
Yeah, 4th was a very popular number there for a while. Ricky Rudd qualified in 4th position, and then Mike Skinner came along and knocked Ricky down to 5th as Skinner clocked in with a 176.415.
And this is Bobby Hillam, the new driver of the Haynes Ford. Number 78, completes his qualifying run, and he will be off the pylon. 51.712, 174.041. Hillen would be 32nd if this is how the cars would line up, but unfortunately for him, qualifying will be held tomorrow for the cars 26 through 42.
Ward Burton is currently on the bubble, and Johnny Benson is on the racetrack. The driver who finished in 8th position in his first Brickyard 400 last year after starting in 14th. But those statistics really don't tell the story because this guy was very, very good during the race last year, leading the most laps. Here's Jerry with Mike Skinner, who qualified 4th.
Michael, I am impressed. 51.016 seconds. They had to repair the fenders, put a new engine in. You didn't get any more practice. You go out there and blister them. You're 4th quickest.
Well, I'll tell you, I got to take my hat off to this crew. These guys have worked their tail off, and I feel for the motor guys. We struggled on these qualifying motors, and Terry Elledge made the call to take that engine out right before qualifying. He said that thing's blown up. It just hadn't thrown anything out of it yet. And he said, we got to change motors. He says, I'm sorry. And we cut the fenders up on the thing. We did everything humanly possible, that car, to make it better. And it's nowhere near the car that we had yesterday, but I'm just glad it looks like we'll make the top 25 with that run, and now we can concentrate on getting ready to race. Richard's got a guy coming in the morning, put new fenders on it.
All right, that makes you smile. A year ago, you had to wait 7 laps to climb in. This year, you'll get to start your own car. It looks like closer to the front. Good omen for you?
Oh, I think so. You know, Kevin and David's done a great job calling pit strategy. We've struggled in the pits a little bit, but the guys all want to race, and they're going to get better and better and better, and hopefully I'll make a few less mistakes as we go this second half of the year. And, you know, I really hope we can do a little bit better. I've made a lot of mistakes, and they've made some mistakes, but this is a good race team, and Richard still has a lot of confidence in us, so we're going to keep on digging.
All right, rookie Mike Skinner currently 4th in qualifying.
Johnny Benson qualifies, as you can see, in 17th spot, 51.363, 175.223. That will bump Ward Burton out of the field. Terry Labonte has also been bumped, and now Rick Wilson, the 27 car, is on the bubble.
We might mention that the top 3 qualifiers so far have broken the previous track record held by Jeff Gordon, Ernie Irvin, Dale Jarrett, and Darrell Waltrip. On the racetrack right now is John Andretti in the RCA Ford. Mike Skinner missed also breaking the previous track record. He qualified at 176.415, and Jeff Gordon's track record coming into today was 176.419.
John Andretti, the winner of the Pepsi 400 down in Daytona Beach, comes by, takes the, well, pretty soon going to take the green flag. There it is. He was sent off to qualify.
His best start here at the Brickyard 400 was 23rd 2 years ago. His best finish was also in 1995. He finished in 12th spot. John Andretti's best practice lap this morning was 175.033, but just about everybody has been considerably slower than their morning practice because the track is a little bit warmer. Now, the speeds you see there with the yellow mark, those are the speeds turned in by the pole sitter, Ernie Irvin, the numbers flashing in, comparing the driver on the track with his speeds.
Yeah, we can see that he's 4 or 5 miles per hour slower than Ernie Irvin. Matter of fact, John needs to pick it up to get a good qualifying run. He's 3 miles per hour in the north turn in the short chute. Here he comes by, takes the checkered flag. Let's see. There's Ernie Irvin's speed, 177.763. What did John do?
26, just missed knocking or going onto the bubble.
51.490, 174.791, 26th.
Well, we welcome those of you watching ESPN News. We're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and coming up is Dale Earnhardt as he is about to go on to the racetrack, and qualify for the Brickyard 400. Dale Earnhardt, of course, started in second position in the first year, won the second Brickyard 400. Last year, he was injured because of a crash at Talladega and was relieved by Mike Skinner, who drove home in 15th position. The pole sitter is Ernie Irvan, Dale Jarrett, alongside second row would be the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, and then Mike Skinner is fourth fastest so far as Earnhardt begins the run.
And listen to the crowd in anticipation of what Earnhardt might do in that Goodwrench Chevrolet. They're warming up, getting ready.
9 degrees of banking in the corners. He's through turn number 2. New pavement in the corners here at Indianapolis, and in addition to that, there are rumble strips in the corners.
And we can see at the start-finish line a little bit slower. Good in turn 1, but slower in the short chute. And 3 mile/hour slower coming off turn 2. Going in turn 3. Obviously, the wind must be blowing down the backstretch. Just 1 mile/hour slower going in 3. But 3 mile/hour slower coming off turn 3. Here comes Earnhardt down for the line. Oh. Ooh, about got that wall.
Sure did. He was way up high coming off the 4th corner. The crowd is roaring as the checkered flag comes out, and Earnhardt has completed the qualifying run. Let's see where he falls in the lineup. Oh, good run. How about that? And listen to the crowd.
50.981, 176.536. There we see him in 4th spot. And wow, Bill Weber.
Well, Richard Childress, how's your day?
Yeah, it's getting better. I'll tell you, we've done a little struggling, but you know, we knew we knew Dale would pull a good lap in there, and he told us, he said, "Don't worry, I can do it, guys." And you know, I knew he could, and we're really worked hard here for the race, and I think both cars will be real good in the race.
Smile.
I can do it now.
Okay, Richard Childress, he's got 2 cars up front.
Well, the Yates,
go ahead, Bob.
The Yates drivers are 1st and 2nd speed-wise, and the Childress drivers are 4th and 5th. Earnhardt 4th, and Mike Skinner qualifies 5th. Back in a moment. Robbie Gordon has qualified for the Brickyard 400, his first. Let's see how he did. Oh, he's 10th fastest. Good run for Robbie. What was it, BP?
51.115, 176.074 miles per hour. As you said, he is currently 10th. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dale, 50.981 seconds. Listen to that crowd, 176.536 miles an hour. What a lap.
Well, I saved it all week. You know, the car's been good in practice and test, and even in practice here. And Larry's been a little nervous. We hadn't really been fast as we need to be. And I knew what the car would do, and we just sort of was sneaking up on things. And we tested the tires, and we felt like this was our best set of tires. We saved them for qualifying. I saved myself for the best lap. Me and Skinner's right there again together. Maybe we can finish that way one, too.
What a difference a year makes. You came here last year and had to suffer the entire week. Now maybe it's time to enjoy it a little bit back at Indianapolis.
Well, it is. It's good to be back, and it's good to be back here healthy. And, you know, Skinner did a great job relieving for us last year, but it might have done too good a job. He's learned to get around this racetrack. He's right there with us.
All right. Dale Earnhardt's great lap. Currently 4th and 5th for Team Childress, 1st and 2nd for Team Yates. And what about Nemechek, Team Sabco?
Well, he's on the backstretch, and he was the 5th fastest in the morning warm-up, 177.326. How's he doing?
He's put on some pretty good time, although that going in turn 1, 5 mile/hour slower. They're at same speed going in turn 3, but he lost a little bit coming off 2. He's 6 miles/hour slower coming off that corner. Same in the short chute. Ooh, he almost brushes the wall. He just comes off, takes the checkered flag. Pretty good lap for Nemechek.
Mark Martin is on the bubble. He was faster than Ernie Irvan in the 4th corner. Let's see what he did. Nemechek is 2nd quick. How about that? Front row Joe does it again.
50.690, 177.550. and he almost knocked Ernie Irvan off the pole. Great lap by Nemechek.
That is a great run, 177.550, and Joe Nemechek is right now on the outside of the front row. Mark Martin is bumped from the bubble, and Bobby Labonte is now on the bubble.
That would see the speeds that Nemechek ran versus Ernie Irvan. Turn 1, he was 2 mile per hour slower, 5 in the short chute in the south turn, 3 coming off turn 2, 1 mile per hour at the backstretch, going in turn 3 the same speed, and coming off the third turn is where he really lost some time, 6 mile per hour, same in the middle of the short chute, and the front stretch, he was 1 mile per hour faster than Ernie Irvan.
And so we're down to the final qualifiers. Here is Dick Trickle in the Hiley Myers Ford, as Trickle will try to get into the top 25. And again, on the bubble is Bobby Labonte with a speed of 175.043. And here is Trickle off the corner. Dick was involved in an off-track incident here in the garage area yesterday.
And he and Bobby Hamilton trying to get out of to go on the racetrack, driving through the garage area, made contact. We can see that Trickle is not going to sit on the pole because he's slower than Ernie Irvan about every place. Well, he has been slower every place going around the racetrack. Right now, all we got to do is get him in the race. That's what he's concerned about.
So he's down the front straight away, taking the checkered flag. And let's now find out how Dick Trickle did on his 1 lap of qualifying here at Indy. He's 38th quick, so he did not move into the top 25 with a 51.760, 173.879. Jerry Punch is with Robbie Gordon.
Well, Robbie, people were holding their breath for Team Sapco here late in qualifying. You went out 51.115. You climbed out of the car and shook your head and just said loose.
Yeah, you know, we laid the spoiler down in practice. We had the car where it was pushing a little bit, laid the spoiler down a bit. Maybe shouldn't have done that. Got a little hot, got a little slick. We were pretty loose in all corners, but pretty good effort for Sapco. You know, we've got about 3 cars in top 15, so, you know, the guys at the end of the shop are doing a pretty good job getting us some power. It's unfortunate that we qualified back 11th, but Joe did a good job. He's on the front row.
All right, your teammate Joe we'll talk to in a moment, but starting in the top 10, that's pretty good for you. Then you become the 2nd driver ever to run the Indy 500 and Brickyard 400 in the same year.
Yeah, you know, we got a pretty good effort. I mean, this will lock us in on first day. You know, now we can work on race setups the rest of the weekend.
All right, Robbie Gordon will start in the top 10. He talked about his teammate Joe Nemechek. Let's walk over there. They are talking with Joe Nemechek over here. That is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway radio, getting a quick comment from the Bell South driver, who many people thought would have a shot at the pole, and indeed he did. Well, as we show the scoring pylon, you see on the pole Ernie Irvan. In second was Nemechek at 50.690 seconds, and Nemechek puts the Bell South Chevrolet outside of row 1 here in qualifying for the 4th annual Brickyard 400. And front row Joe again, once again, man, you're right there. The nickname sticks.
I'm just glad I made it stick this time. I just can't say enough for Tony Glover, Keith Simmons, and all the guys that build these engines and cars. Awesome. That was an awesome lap. I hit the rumble strips in turn 1 and scrubbed a little bit there, but the car was on a rail. Tony said it was going to stick, and I just hammered down on it, and 5/1000 short. I don't know where I can make it up right now. If I had to do it all over again, I'd probably go a little bit faster. But I got to congratulate Ernie. You know, we've knocked him off a couple times, and congratulations to him for getting it. If he could beat me, he can have it. And we want to say hello to his mom, and we're all thinking about her. We got her in our prayers.
We're certainly all thinking about Joe Irvan back in Concord. Now, you tell me you ran a 50.69 and you hit the rumble strips down in turn 1?
Hit the rumble strips. The car turned sideways a little bit. I knew when I did that, as soon as I hit him, I just stood on the gas. I said, if we're gonna have a shot at the pole, I got to go. And the car hooked up, come off. I got real close to the wall, but that was all I had. That was all I had. I wish I could do it again and just not hit those, but may we be one more spot forward. But what a day here at Indy on the front row. This is awesome.
All right, front row Joe, the name indeed sticks as Joe Nemechek qualifies outside of row 1, but it is Ernie Irvan who will lead him down for the 4th annual Brickyard 400.
A lot more coverage coming up here on ESPN2. We'll be here for the next 42 minutes or so, and a lot of activity also tonight. And Bill Weber's with the pole sitter.
And that would be Ernie Irvan. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
it's pretty tough, but this team is a great race team, and I hate to leave them, and we're gonna leave on real good terms.
Tell me what's going to happen here on Saturday.
Hopefully we're going to win, but we've hoped that the last 3 times that I've ran, or the last 2 times I've ran, and just hasn't paid up. So, I think that we're going to have a real good shot at it, and we're going to work real hard in the next, day or so to get our car handling perfect.
You've had a lot of success here, Ernie, just not success in the closing laps.
That's the problem. I've been leading towards the end. Maybe I need to just not be leading towards the end, and maybe somebody else can have some bad luck.
Maybe you could lead them all.
That could be true too. But who knows?
Obviously, the Fords here performed very well. Will they race as well as they qualified, Ernie?
Well, I think so. I don't think it's a matter of a Ford or whatever. I think that we could have took a Monte Carlo and done the exact same thing. It's right now the cars are really close. It's just a matter of how you get it set up.
You've had a lot of success in your career. Where does this pole winning accomplishment fit in?
Well, it fits in a lot. It's really good. I've had the pole at the Daytona 500, and there's next best thing is to have the pole at the Brickyard 400. So I haven't won this race, so this is the next best thing.
And he's got the best starting position here on Saturday. Ernie Irvin on the pole.
Joe Nemechek's mom is trying to get a shot of her son, who has just walked off with the second fastest qualifying effort here at Indianapolis. And she has to be a very, very happy lady.
The yellow shirt's trying to throw her out, right?
That's right. They're just doing their job, though. At Indianapolis Raceway Park tonight, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is at IRP for the Cummins 200, 9:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. And at 7 o'clock tonight, it'll be RPM tonight with a wrap-up of all the activity here at the Speedway. Back in a moment. ESPN2's coverage of qualifying at the Brickyard 400 is being brought to you by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. Well, it's been an interesting qualifying session here. We have seen Ernie Irvin qualify for the pole position, and a late afternoon dramatic run. Joe Nemechek knocks Ernie's teammate Dale Jarrett back to the second row.
And Joe Nemechek missed the pole position by about 5/100ths of a second. That's faster than that. I can't even measure how little 5/100ths of a second is.
We have the PPG Cup being sought by the winner of the Brickyard 400. There it is. That will go to the guy who crosses the finish line first on Saturday afternoon. And now we've got a lot of activity that is going on back in the garage area. The qualifying engines are out and the race engines go in, Bill.
And this is Dale Jarrett's garage, and they're changing engines here, and they're putting in the race engine after they've taken out the qualifying engine. And Robert Yates has just come by, and he's working with Steve Allen and some of the other guys here to get that race engine in the car and get Dale Jarrett all set to get back out on the racetrack. So that's some of the work that's going on back here now, and we'll back out a little bit and let them continue.
Look at that. The guy walked over in front of the engine. I did not want our camera seeing it.
At 7 o'clock tonight, John Kernan will be here on this very set with RPM tonight. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is at Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Cummins 200 at 9:30 Eastern Time with Benny and Dave Despain and Marty Reed. Tomorrow, we'll be on the Deuce here at 2 o'clock Eastern Time for second round Winston Cup qualifying for the Brickyard 400. And then at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, John Kernan back again before they go green with me and Benny at 7:30. Dave Despain hosts Speed Week from IRP at 8:30, and then the Kroger 200 NASCAR Busch Series Grand National Division race at 9 o'clock. That is tomorrow night. We begin the Saturday broadcast day at 11:30 Eastern Time with RPM Today. NASCAR on the grid at noon, setting the stage for the ABC coverage of the Brickyard 400, which is at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday afternoon. Any big surprises qualifying? I certainly maybe am not all that surprised, but it's great to see Darrell Waltrip fourth quickest today.
Yeah, that had to be the biggest shock of the day. DW up in the top 5, and Savco has 3 cars in the top 14 and team cars.
Yeah.
Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett first and third, and also the Childress cars, Skinner and Earnhardt, right together. So it looks like the team cars are really staying right together.
Ricky Rudd turns in a good qualifying performance in 7, and Ken Schrader was on the pole for quite a while. He ended up in 8th spot.
Yeah, I think the 33 car, the Skoll car, is getting faster and faster and faster. They're kind of working their way up. Looks like they struggle. Andy Petrie and Kenny Schrader look like kind of like Larry McReynolds and Dale Earnhardt when the season started. Didn't understand exactly what each other was saying, but now it looks like they're all on the same page, and both those cars, Earnhardt and Schrader, both running very well.
How about the 96 car in 9th position and Rich Bickle in 10th? A couple of surprises, I would say.
Maybe everything's a surprise. I mean, David Green has not been known this year for qualifying well, but obviously Buzz McCall came up here. They really put forth an effort, and Rich Bickle, that's amazing.
It really is.
And he had to go this morning to the IRP and practice the truck. Came back over here, practiced the NASCAR Winston Cup car. Now he's gone back over there to practice the truck again and try to qualify for the Cummins 200 tonight.
We might mention that Jeff Gordon, who has been on the pole the last 2 years, ended up 24th. Well, there's work now going on in the Ernie Irvin garage. How much work have they got to do here this afternoon, Benny?
Well, they're going to change the engine. Most of these cars now are all using a special qualifying engine. I used to think that those engines were nothing but used race engines that they could abuse a little bit. But I found that they're more than that. There are some trick pieces in there, some pieces that would not run for 500 miles. So they've got to get those things out and install the race engine, get it ready to go, so when the track opens up for practice again, they can go out and make sure that race engine is going to be okay.
All right, take a look here now at the complete rundown. There, the first 15 in the qualifying session today. Robbie Gordon ended up in 11th position. Wally Dallenbach was also strong with a 14th place run today. Here now is 16 through 30 in the qualifying order. In 16th was Jeremy Mayfield. There you see that Bobby Labonte in 25th position. He was the man on the bubble when the first round ended. 26 on back will have to make a decision. After they do some practicing tomorrow, will they stay on their time or will they requalify in second round tomorrow? It is expected to be just a couple of degrees warmer tomorrow than today, and so perhaps there will be some standing on time, the speeds that they turned in here today. More from the Brickyard after these messages. Some very, very important work going on back in the Darrell Waltrip garage. Jessica and Sarah are making sure that that car is spotless.
Jessica, the one on the left, and Sarah on the right. Yeah, I know. Darrell might get in trouble with the Indiana State Labor Board or something, no.
Child labor, huh?
Yes.
They are very hard at work, and there's some serious work going over in the Johnny Benson garage. They have the engine hoist ready to get that qualifying engine out of there and the race engine in. So, indeed, the garage area is very, very busy. Well, here's Bill with the guy who will start 4th on Saturday.
Look, we could talk to the owner, we could talk to the driver, but we got to give equal time to the crew chief here, and that's Jeff Hammond, who's, well, you look kind of busy. He said, what were you guys talking about out there on the grid?
Well, really, we were talking about we'd made some changes to the car and been watching how the track had slowed down a whole lot. And it was a concern of ours because we felt like that, we needed to be in the 50s to have a really good run here today. And all of a sudden, everybody's running 51 flats and 51 10s, and we're saying, oh, me, I hope that we made the right decisions because this is Indy. And when the sun comes out, the racetrack does change. And we had tightened her up purposely. And like I say, I asked Darrell, how did it feel? He says, well, I don't really remember. It must have been pretty good. So we were just trying to get things worked out.
Uh-oh, look out. Here he comes. I think he was more convinced after he came back, though, than before he went out, Jeff.
Well, he made believers out of all of us. But, I have a lot of faith in him, and I think he's been pulling some good ones out all year long, and today was just another tribute to his ability.
Okay, a tribute to his ability. Let's get some reaction to that. First of all, you're all smiles, aren't you?
Oh, this
4th is okay?
Oh, this is fun. Yeah, I tell you, anything in the top 5 is incredible here at Indianapolis, and I got 2 cars in the top 10. That's big, and that was our goal coming up here, was to get both cars in a race today, and we didn't really care where. So me being where I am is a bonus. Rich in the race in the top 10, that's a bonus. He's going to go win that truck race tonight. We're going to have a great weekend.
Now, your daughter's polishing your car. Are they going to be working in the pit crew on a Saturday?
The only thing they ever ask me is, did I beat Jeffy? That's who they worry about. They always want to know if I beat Jeffy. That's Jeff Gordon, by the way.
So who are they going to root for on Saturday then, Darrell?
Oh, they're for DW. They'll give you a yay DW, go DW, and hey girls, Girls, give him a good luck DW. Give him one. All right. I got them trained, buddy. On cue.
Okay, now how are you going to race?
I'm going to race the wheels off this thing. That's what we thought we had, was a good race car. We didn't really think we had a good qualifying car because it was pretty comfortable and it run the same speed all the time, but it never really seemed to pick up that much. We'll be good. We're not, I don't know if we can beat the Fords or not, and I'm saying that in all honesty. I'm not making that up. But we can sure give them a run for their money, and if cautions fell right and got tires on here at the right time and everything worked out good, we could win this sucker.
Oh, wow. Well, Ernie Irving's getting his van for winning the pole. Do we have time to get to Owensboro in time for the party tonight?
We can go over to the Moonlight and get some barbecue and get some good mutton and some burgoo and maybe go for a little ride on Ohio River tonight. Get us a good old drink of water out of the river and come on back up here and be the man. I want to be the man.
He is fired up. This will be very interesting to watch the next 2 days.
Well, Ernie Irvin is officially being awarded the Busch Pole Award and picking up a van. So a lot of things go with the pole position here at the Brickyard 400.
How might get me a job driving that van back to Concord?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Yeah.
Well, tonight on ESPN, the pregame show with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson will be on at 7:30 tonight as they set the stage for our first look at NFL action in 1997 summertime. It's at 8 o'clock tonight. The game is between the Green Bay Packers and the New England Patriots. That's over on ESPN. 7:30 the pregame and 8 o'clock the football game. One of many awards that Ernie Irvin gets for winning the pole position here, and the team, of course. $5,000 check. He gets the van that he's standing in front of.
He needs the van to haul the money back to Concord. Sir, attaboy, Ernie.
Well, Ernie Irvin has overcome some emotion in his family and clocked in with a 177.736 mile-an-hour lap to earn the pole position. Bill Weber.
Okay, well, we're back in Dale Jarrett's garage, and Steve Allen is the engine specialist that works with Robert Yates Racing, and you guard the engines on the 88 car, and you were gonna come out after us. We were shooting this a moment ago. Tell us what's going on here.
We're just putting a backup race engine in to run the hour, 2 hour, what we got, 2 hour practice in the morning, because we want to save all the time we can on our race engine. We'll put it in tomorrow and have it ready for happy hour, but we guard them with our life.
I noticed that. Now, you're in trouble now because BP has a question that I will relate to you here in a moment. Go ahead, Benny.
What's so Steve, what's so secretive?
Why so secretive, Steve?
He worked for Robert. He'd kill us all. We got these. Where's our cars at? On the pole in third, I believe. Oh, yeah. We got beat by that black car today. It just kills me. But we'll go get him tomorrow.
You're talking about that 28 car.
I didn't say a number, yeah.
It's a teammate, but everybody wants to be first.
Hey, what'd you say? It's war out here.
That's right, it's war out.
Yeah, what do you want to say? You want to congratulate your brother, don't you?
I just want to say congratulations to Brad and Mary on having that little baby boy yesterday. I know that they've been trying to have it now since last week, and thank the good Lord y'all finally had that baby, and congratulations from all of us here. We miss you, and can't wait to see you Saturday there, Flipper.
Yeah, that's exactly what you meant, Bill, is hurry up, Brad, and get here.
Yeah, that's exactly. So Todd Parrott, the crew chief, are you telling Brad he will be here to work on Saturday?
Oh, yeah. He thinks he's going to lay around in the hospital and play with that baby this weekend, but he's going to be up here Saturday on business.
Okay, well, you're both in trouble because Punch is with Robert Yates, so you better get back to work.
Robert, your guards are doing a great job down there. We tried to shoot the engine they're going to put in the 88 car, and they kept walking. Steve kept walking up in front of the camera, said, I can't show you our secrets. Robert won't let me. What's so secretive down there?
Well, you know, little larger engines have a little larger dimension. They're trying to cover up that. They figure you probably got some calipers in that lens, and will size that engine up. No, seriously, I don't know.
Don't say large engines. You're going to get us all in trouble, Robert. You say larger motors. You were joking.
Yeah, I was joking about that. Certainly, that's not a sore spot with Robert. I've never run a bit large engine, so I can joke about it.
Hey, congratulations. First and third in qualifying today. What an effort for Team Yates.
It sure is. You know, the 28 in like about last 6 races, Joe Nemechek, and certainly we're happy when he wins occasionally, but not. His third time he's knocked us off the front row or the first position, and this time he didn't come up with enough, and
But anyway, Ernie and the team, they're doing well under some of the conditions that we put in place. But that's what we agreed to do. We're going to work our butt off and win poles and win races. And I think we're on our way.
A lot of people listening at home may have wondered, you know, what is the relationship between Robert Yates and Ernie Irvan? The fact that you guys remain friends and are still very, very close, the fact that he will not be back driving for you next year doesn't change that. You want to see him win poles and races for the rest of the year.
I certainly do. You know, when you go racing and you put your heart in it, you can't do well if you don't have your heart in it. So being on the pole here shows that not only Ernie but all the team still have their heart. That's focused on getting the job done, and we'll try to continue that throughout this season. A lot of racing left to go.
All right, Robert Yates' car starting first and third in the Brickyard 400. And by the way, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we are told they will announce the driver for the car number 28 for 1998.
Wow, how about that? But you notice that Steve Allen said they're putting in a backup race engine for the 2-hour practice in the morning. They're not putting their race engine in until qualifying tomorrow for a happy hour tomorrow afternoon to save those few miles on the race engine.
Well, there's the van that Ernie Irvan has won. He's driving around the racetrack. He's the winner of the Busch Pole here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Saturday's Brickyard 400. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, qualifying is over here. Ernie Irvan wins the pole. Joe Nemechek will start alongside him in row number 1 with Dale Jarrett third and then Darrell Waltrip fourth. Well, Robert Yates has been showing some strength. Ernie Irvan has qualified first and his teammate has qualified in third position. How about the Richard Childress team? They too had some great work here this afternoon. Earnhardt 5th and Skinner 6th, but Team Hendrick, well, 24th for Jeff Gordon. Terry Labonte was 31st, and Ricky Craven unbelievably turned in the slowest qualifying effort of all that took a time here today. The Roush team, Benny?
Yes, qualified 22nd, 26th, 27th. So all three cars are obviously about the same speed. But yes, the Hendrick cars really, surprisingly, how they're struggling here at the Brickyard, because Jeff Gordon has been on the pole for the last 2 years in that DuPont Chevrolet.
And speaking of Fords, we have some NASCAR news to bring to you, because last night this was the car that Ford said would be the Winston Cup race car for 1998. The Thunderbird, of course, is gone, and the Taurus is going to replace it.
You know what? I wonder what in the world will a four-door car look like as a race car, but it looks like a pretty spiffy little race car.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Now, there's some saying that Thunderbirds might be the backups for these Tauruses.
I'd almost guarantee that most teams will have a Thunderbird or two in their garage. Come Daytona Beach in February, they'll have a Thunderbird just in case that there's something there that will not work. The cars won't draft, won't run, whatever. I'm sure a lot of teams will have a Thunderbird as a backup. As you're reading the paper where we got the name, where they got the name for the Taurus.
Yeah, the sign of the two of the wives of somebody.
The engineers that designed the car, their wives both had the Taurus sign, and so that's why they named the car that.
Bill Weber.
And Felix, we were going to sneak up on you. I knew you were in there bragging. He's been talking to the 75 on. Just you got 3 cars in the top 14 at Indianapolis. Come on, brag a little bit.
Well, that's actually we're pretty happy. You know, anytime as competitive this series is today, anytime you can make the field on the first day, doesn't matter whether you're 25th or first, you got to be pretty happy. And I'm pretty happy to have 3 cars in the top 20.
Now, how happy are you going to be Saturday? What do those guys have to do to make you happy here Saturday, Felix?
Well, finish in the top 10. And I don't want to put a lot of pressure on the guys. We struggled this year, but you know, we're coming around. I think people begin to notice that Team Sapka is finally arrived. If we can finish in the top 10 or 12, all 3 cars, I'll be very happy.
You've qualified well, Joe leading that pack, but the finishes just have not been there for you.
We've had some mechanical failures and parts failures, and we've been involved in a lot of wrecks. You know, the 40 car has been in 9 wrecks this year, and Joe's been involved in 5 wrecks. So that's when you take 14 wrecks into the equation, that's a lot of wrecks. And I think, you know, but I think if we can quit wrecking, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Okay.
See what I got here? I got front Joe baby here.
That's Andrea Nemechek and their new son, John, Andrea and Joe. So a lot of smiles down here, guys. Back up top.
And Felix Zabata's strength indicates that Nemechek is 2nd, Gordon 11th, and Dallenbach 14th in the lineup come Saturday. And speaking of Gordon, Jeff Gordon will start 24th. Ray Evernham and the crew now begin to work on his DuPont Auto Finishes Chevrolet. Well, the flags are flying all over Indianapolis. That's on top of the AUL building in downtown Indianapolis. We're located about 40 blocks to the west of downtown at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where qualifying for the Brickyard 400 is over with Ernie Irvin winning the pole. And there are wrenches flying over in the Jeff Gordon garage.
That's Ray Evernham under there adjusting the front fenders.
And I believe that Jerry Punch is right there.
Well, Bob, Team Hendrick qualified 24th, 31st, and 51st. We're talking about Gordon, Labonte, and Craven. And a moment ago, you saw Ray Evernham there moving the front fenders. Ray, let me ask you, what were you doing? Just bringing the fenders in a little bit or pushing them out?
Actually pushing them out. We're getting ready for race trim right now. And you know, there'll be quite a lot of tape off the car, so it's going to take away some front downforce. We're putting the fenders back out to where we can put them to get some more.
I know you're struggling with a little bit of a flu, and Jeff could hardly talk either, and it hasn't been a good day for Team Hendrick in qualifying. Can you put your finger on what happened today for all three cars?
It's a competitive sport, Jerry, you know, and you know, evidently we got a little bit behind coming here somehow. As far as qualifying is concerned, I think that everything's going to equal out. You know, in race trim, this is a good race car. You know, I made a decision to bring it. I got a lot of faith in it in race trim, and you know, we're going to dig in our heels, all three of us, and do a good job. You know, you can't always start up front, even though that we'd like to, but, you know, we've got good drivers and good teams and good race cars, and, you know, we're going to dig in and come at this thing with a good finish.
This is not the car you wanted to bring here. You ran blacker at California because the car you wanted to race here, you lost at Michigan.
Yeah, we lost that in a practice crash Saturday morning before the Michigan race. It's the car that won the Coca-Cola 600. But, you know, this car here, like I said, we've never raced it, and we've had it for a while, and we've carried it around, and it's tested here and there, and it's got a tendency to drive a little bit better at places that are tight, and we're hoping that it'll show that come Saturday.
Put it in perspective. What's happening here is important, but not even, it pales in comparison to what's happening right now in Fayetteville, North Carolina for you and this team and for your owner, Rick Hendrick.
Yeah, the people in Fayetteville, North Carolina are trying to put on the largest bone marrow drive ever in the country. They're trying to make a goal of 10,000. And the last I heard that they were up over the 5,000. And it was all really started by a young boy, or because of a young boy named Andrew Jackson, that we're really trying to help to get people out there. You know, I promised Andrew, and I want to say hi to him, hey, Andrew. But I promised Andrew I'd do everything I could to help him, and just supporting those people out in Fayetteville that are putting on that bone marrow drive. If they reach their goal of 10,000, it'd be a lot more important than us winning the race on Sunday.
Indeed, well said. And Rick Hendrick, we know you're watching at home. We send our love and our prayers and our best wishes. We hope you come back to us very, very soon. That's Ray Evernham down in the Hendrick garage.
Well, the National Football League preseason begins tonight, and the pre-game with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson will be on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern Time, and then stay tuned for the game at 8 o'clock featuring the New England Patriots against the Green Bay Packers in a rematch of Super Bowl 31. 8 o'clock Eastern Time tonight on ESPN. Wally Dallenbach starts 14th tomorrow for Team Sabco. We'll be back to talk with him when we return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. ESPN2's coverage of Bush Pole qualifying at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway being brought to you by Shell, moving at the speed of life. Well, we've talked in the last few minutes about the happy stories around here. The fact that Ernie Irvin has won the pole position and the 25 are locked into the lineup. But, Benny, there are a lot of drivers down there saying, oh, no, we didn't do well, and now we have to decide whether to stand on the time or come back tomorrow.
You know, you're exactly right, Bob. And practice in the morning, the cars are probably going to run a little bit faster because it's cooler, and it may deceive some of those teams into thinking that they've got a better race car than they have this morning. I'm sure no one thought that they couldn't break the 51-second to get in the 50-second range, but only 3 or 4 cars were able to do that. So I just hope in the morning a lot of guys don't get fooled into thinking.
And I would imagine that it's as much emotional as anything else. We're seeing, of course, engines being changed, qualifying engines taken out, and race engines being put in now back in the garage area.
Because the transporters are parked outside the garage area here, and they've got to roll the engine from the transporter inside the garage area. Thank goodness for those little dollies that they haul the engines on.
Well, we promised you an interview with Wally Dallenbach. We fulfill the promise, or at least Bill Weber does.
And here is Wally, and starting 14th at Indianapolis. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we wanted a little bit more. We thought we had a little bit more, and I mean, it's you're doing pretty good though when you're disappointed with 14th. That's about the slowest we've run, but we've got a good race car for Saturday. This car here we tested. We had 2 cars. We tested one for qualifying and one race setup, and the one that was really, really fast is still in the trailer. And the one that we had, we did all our race runs on was this car, which was really good. So we thought we could run a little quicker in qualifying, but we don't have to worry about second round. We can go concentrate. We're not going to run the rest of the day. We're changing engines right now, but we'll be good Saturday.
There is another 45-minute practice session coming up here in about 6 or 7 minutes. You're going to sit that one out, work on it tomorrow. Felix said he'd take a top 10, but on Saturday. You want more than that, don't you?
Yeah, we want to win a race this year real bad. For everybody, for myself and First Union and Felix and the team, and boy, this would be a cool place to do it at. I'd love to win here. We'll win anywhere, but Indianapolis would be pretty cool, especially since we've got a lot of months of May invested here.
Yeah, a lot of famous names here at Indy. Dallenbach is one of them. This guy's looking for a big finish Saturday, guys.
Yeah, his dad competed many years here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Indy 500. And we'll be back to wrap things up here from the Brickyard when we return. Busch pole qualifying day over. Ernie Irvan on the pole. Well, no one in racing will dispute what that is. That is the scoring pylon and the tower here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway right behind us. Well, first day qualifying is over. 25 drivers are locked in, but 26 didn't make it.
Did not make it. And that's the 26 that I feel for, because they're going home tonight just concerned. What can they possibly do? Here's a look at qualifying. There's the top 15. Irvin, Nemechek, Jarrett, Waltrip. Bill Elliott will be 15th, start 15th on Saturday. 16 through 30, Mayfield, Mast. Now, 25th is the cutoff point. Bobby Labonte is in. Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Rick Wilson, those guys are not in. Will they requalify? Will they stand on that time? There we see 31 through 45, and 38 cars are all that's going to qualify. Right now, if only one round of qualifying, Dick Trickle would qualify. Barrier, Kenny Wallace, all those guys would not qualify. Whew. Man, oh man, worrying so much about tonight. What can they do? Those 26 cars have got to requalify, possibly got to requalify, trying to dream up tonight. What can we do? What is it we can do that will make our car run as fast as Ernie Irvan's?
And regardless of what happens, we will be here tomorrow with second round qualifying. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, the back of the car may actually say Miller time, but it's really decision time, or as Benny said, it's time to begin to worry. You see, Rusty Wallace qualified 36 today out of 51 cars, and behind me now, Robin Pemberton and this Penske South crew have to worry about the race. They're trying to get ready for the race. They have put the car up on the weight scale. They are trying to get ready for practice and get the race setup dialed in. They said, we're not going to worry about qualifying until tomorrow morning. We still have a practice this afternoon. But Robin Pemberton, Rusty Wallace, Don Miller, and the crew will sit down tonight and think about what they should do. Should they requalify? How hot will it be tomorrow? Can they get better? They said the car today simply just skated around, would not grip anything on the track, would slip and slide and push, and tomorrow they hope things will get better for Penske South and Rusty Wallace. Bill Weber?
Well, Jerry, 51 teams came here to Indianapolis, 51 drivers and 51 dreams. But for Ricky Craven and the Budweiser Chevrolet crew, the dream has become a nightmare. Out of the 51 cars that took times, they're 51st, last. Very unimpressive, very uninspired. This team is very depressed. I just had a brief conversation with some of the crew members. They say it might be the car. Maybe the car isn't fast enough for one lap. They're hoping it will be much faster tomorrow and certainly on Saturday. But it's a very depressed state of mind right now. The 25 guys that got in the field can relax and can run this afternoon and tomorrow. For everybody else, it's a battle. For these guys, their dream turned into a nightmare. Now they've got to figure out a way to make their nightmare turn back into a dream come true. They've got a lot of work ahead of them.
John Kernan will have other stories from the Brickyard and from other areas of motorsports on RPM tonight. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern time here on The Deuce. At 9:30 Eastern, Benny Parsons and Dave Despain and Marty Reed will have coverage of the Cummins 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event at 9:30 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow on The Deuce with the second round of qualifying. And coming up next, the Power 2 Shop will give you an opportunity to buy some of the 1997 Brickyard 400 merchandise and some very interesting things that you can buy. Ernie Irvin has driven to the pole position here at the Brickyard with a speed of 177.736, a new track record. Joe Nemechek will start alongside him in the 4th annual Brickyard 400 on Saturday afternoon. For Benny Parsons, Bill Weber, and Jerry Punch, I'm Bob Jenkins. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.